From In the Beginning to the Musical Apocalypse, this is The Bible Says What? I'm your host, Mike Wiseman. Michael Jackson used my bathroom. Years ago, I was having a yard sale and this limo pulled up. Michael Jackson rushes out of the back. Dancing in agony, he hops and sways over to me and says, "Wee-hoo, I gotta pee. May I use your toilet?" So I let him. I have zero evidence of this occurring. No photos, no autographs, and no one else there saw him. Is this a true story? Should you believe it? Without any evidence of its truth, without me being able to verify that it wasn't just my mind playing tricks on me, or that I wasn't just daydreaming, why would I spread it as truth? Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Without evidence of a truth, it is disingenuous to assert it as so. Let's start the show.
Is there anything in the Bible that you yourself have an issue with? Okay, so it took you reading the Bible to realize that those things were bad for you?
Yeah, it actually did. I didn't
figure this out on your own?
No, Ted Bundy could be redeemed. God doesn't kill children.
What do you think the Passover was? Yahweh sets up a whole system in the Old Testament where you slaughter animals just so he's able to forgive you.
Today's special guest is author and educator, Dr. Marni Hill Foderaro. Welcome to the show, Marnie.
Oh, hey, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
You know, I am an author now. I live in the Caribbean after a lifetime in the Chicago suburbs where I was a high school special education teacher for 35 years. 12 of those years, a university graduate school adjunct professor.
Wow.
But I'm writing a lot of books, and I'm healing, and I'm doing a lot of contemplating, but I'm enjoying God's beautiful earth here in the Caribbean.
Man, I bet you it's nice over there. What's the temperature like today? 80?
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Just all the time.
Yeah, well, yesterday it was perfect, and tomorrow it'll be perfect.
Oh man, makes me sick. Thanks, Marty.
Yeah. We get storms though. We get storms, and
I bet it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing.
Oh man, yeah.
I actually, I spent a lifetime in the Chicago suburbs, and I know you're out of Las Vegas, and I've been there many times. I can find beauty wherever I am because I think there is beauty wherever you are landed. So
very true. But
yeah.
depends on if your beauty is surrounded by hot heat or, perfect weather. I mean, I love it. Awesome. So you have a story. You were an atheist and now are no longer an atheist. Tell us a little bit about that, because that's definitely what I want to tackle and start with here.
Yeah, sure. I grew up without any exposure to organized religion or spirituality. And so my father is a devout atheist. As a philosophy professor, he's even written books on religion, but, definitely instilled the value that there was nothing to living and dying except you live and die, and there's no higher power. So of course, that's all I knew. I had a couple little experiences as a kid. I went to church with a friend one time and was basically told, sit up, sit down, walk here, do this, do that, so I really didn't, get any kind of in-depth, exposure to this. It was more just like, come with me to church and just follow what I do. I remember one experience when I was younger going to a Quaker service, but I really think it was a babysitting situation where I was dropped off to just be kind of watched for a short while. I don't remember much about that except for sitting in kind of a large great room, and I wasn't allowed to talk.
Wow.
And so that was that experience. And then when I was around 10 years old, our family moved to Athens, Greece. My dad, taught a program abroad there and wrote some books or whatever. And we did go to Greek school, and part of Greek school on Saturdays was to go to the Greek Orthodox Church. And so I did that for a year, and of course didn't quite understand, the language was different, but I eventually learned Greek.
Huh.
I remember the smells. I mean, I know this is really different, but I know they burned frankincense or something. And I remember getting earning, I guess, like little charms, little sacrament type kind of, I just called them charms. They told me they were charms.
Huh.
But, I really, again, think it was more just like, okay, when in Greece, do like the Greeks, just do what you do. And there was no real in-depth to it. So that was my early experience. I believe my mother was raised in the church, but she never really influenced us. It was more kind of my dad's non-belief that influenced our family. And then, but I always, even from a little kid, I always felt there was something more. And just didn't really pursue it until I was around a sophomore in college, when I started attending a Presbyterian church. And I really loved the fellowship and the connection and the community and the messages. And so much so that I decided to get baptized, even though I had no support from my family. They could care less.
Yeah.
I knew that was what I wanted to do, and I did that. And then later on in my life, when I was married and started a family, my now ex-husband was Catholic, even though I think he had a big foundation in Catholicism. But, I didn't necessarily witness, real involvement, any kind of a deeper connection. But I went through an RCIA program and became Catholic. It was about a year-long program. Absolutely loved the program. I'm a lifelong learner. I loved reading the Bible. I loved talking about, all these things that I really believed were real, but I didn't have any other kind of community to talk with about it. And I actually became a lector for about 6 years, where I would actually read the Bible. I would just go to church by myself. My children would come sometimes, but I knew that I wanted them to talk about God in their life. So from an early age, like from kindergarten through 8th grade, I had both of my children in the Catholic school system. So I did have them, in a place where they could talk about God if they wanted to talk about God. And so, and I remember one of the big catalysts for even doing that, because we had a very good public school system. But when one of my children at a really, 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 really young age said to me, Mom, the stars on this, the stars in the sky, I think are God watching over everyone. And I'm like, where did he get that from? Because that was before we had talked about anything. He was so young. And that was actually one of the catalysts that was like, I need to expose my children to God, which I did.
Well, that brings up a whole other thing. That's a
yeah. But that's my journey. That's my journey. And I will say right now, I'm not involved in organized religion. I'm more spiritual because of the spiritual experiences I had, and I believe God came to my garage sale. But I'll tell you, I make connections all the time. I just had an amazing connection with a religious leader just yesterday that, just a brief encounter, but it was pretty profound. So, that's my journey. So that's kind of where my background is.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Lots of questions. First off, what was it? Well, it's easy question. What was it that convinced you that this was correct? Was it did God actually show up at your garage sale?
Well, I believe so. I mean, but actually, my leaning towards God and believing there is a God happened way before the garage sale. But at the garage sale,
Uh-huh.
um, I had made the decision to escape my 27-year marriage. Um, I knew it was abusive. I knew that my values of honesty, love, and goodness and family, they were not the same values of who I was married to. And it took me almost 3 decades for my light bulb to go on, a defining moment that just said, I can't do this anymore. I know there'll be repercussions. I mean, I had no idea how significant and how negative the repercussions would be,
Mm.
but I was following my gut intuition, to just, I knew I needed to leave that. And so in a state that really could have been negative when I had the garage sale,
Mm.
I could have been sad, angry, revengeful, or some other feelings that really are not kind of who I am. I was
Liberated.
I was filled with love. I was filled with gratitude.
Mm.
I looked at that home. I looked back at my home and I thought, instead of what I'm losing and this and that, I just said, wow, I was so blessed to be able to raise my children in this beautiful home in this beautiful neighborhood. So I had this garage sale, and throughout the garage sale, I was always in a deep state of reflection, and gratitude, thankfulness. And some spiritual miracles happened, which I believe, I was touched by God. I questioned throughout that garage sale, and then many, many times afterwards, when I was kind of like almost prime, almost open for more awakening experiences to happen, I kept on asking, did God come to my garage sale? Was that person God? Was this situation God? Am I God? I mean, I so many things were so
Well, let's back up.
wonderful.
Hold on. I
I
understand.
know it gets so exciting when I think about it.
So let's dive into that. The positive. You're positive through a negative. You stayed
Yes,
positive through a negative.
yes,
That
yes.
just always look on the bright side of life. Monty Python. I think
Pretty
that's
much.
great.
Yeah, pretty
Right?
much.
So we can
Glass
use that
glass
same
half
exact thing.
full.
Exactly. We can use Monty Python, blah, blah, blah. But how do you get from you had a positive feeling through a negative experience to this is God? Why can't it just be you using the power of yourself to think positive thoughts and continue with that throughout the day? I don't understand why where the God part comes in.
Well, I'll tell you, because the experiences were otherworldly. They were
Such
not
as,
okay.
give
Like
me your best one. Let's score the best
the
one right off
best
the.
one.
There we
Well,
go.
in my book, God Came to My Garage Sale, even though it's a spiritual fiction, it's all inspired by the true events that happened on or around the garage sale, mostly to
I
me.
don't want the fictional part. I want the real part. What
It
happened?
all was real.
Oh,
It all
okay.
was real. I just the fictional part is changing some names and places.
Gotcha.
Experiences, no. Everything I write about the experiences were inspired by true events.
The names of the innocent have been changed to protect blah 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 blah.
Yeah, definitely. So the biggest experience, and one of the first experiences, I was at the cul-de-sac looking back at my home in the state of gratitude,
Hmm.
when all of a sudden a dragonfly circled me.
Hmm.
And then there were like 5, and I thought, that's pretty cool. Didn't think too much of it. Within minutes, there were 50, and to what I believe 100 dragonflies circling me.
Uh-huh.
And everything was in slow motion. It
Uh-huh.
was like the air was clear jello.
Okay.
And it wasn't like I was scared. It wasn't like I was in awe. It was just, I was just there experiencing this. And I could see the dragonflies, fly down the block. And then I saw them come back around and circle me. And like I said, it was all in slow motion, so much so I could see the veins of the wings. I could see the iridescent colors. There were many different sizes, which I equated my feeling, my knowing were that they were people. so that they were babies and toddlers and teenagers and young adults and grandparents all surrounding me with a feeling that I was loved, and that even though I was making a very tough decision, that I was making the best decision for my own safety, for my own well-being, for role modeling for my adult children, that, you need to honor yourself enough to be treated in a good way.
Absolutely. Well, we
I
can both
did
agree
not-
on that, right? Right off the bat. It's a what is that? Rational, logical. It's a logical thing, right? If you're
Sure.
great job escaping that, man, that is awesome. There's not many women that can. So
Right.
great job.
Well,
But-
it goes on. I mean, I filed for divorce over, in 2013, and my abuser's still taking me to court. And
it
it's
sucks, man. I'm
money
sorry.
obsessed and stalked
Yeah.
and harassed, but the worst part of it is I don't have a relationship with my adult children. So they were 20 and 23 at the time. We were very close. I was a Girl Scout leader. I was the parent that drove them to their activities. I was the parent that sang them their bedtime songs, and
Yeah.
I'm the parent who bought their Bibles and read with them.
Well, we'll get
We
into
were
that.
very close. But yes, parental alienation kind of set in right away. So it was devastating. The abuse continues. But you know what? I'm filled with love and light and goodness. And the dragonfly experience
Take
that
that
I
high
had.
road. Exactly. Take that high road. Don't ever take the low road.
No,
And the
I don't
dragonflies,
at
though,
all.
I really want to dive into that, because that's amazing to
Sure.
me. So you
It
had
was.
these dragonflies circling around you, and you knew that these dragonflies were people. Well, and it was in slow
That I
motion.
knew they were people. I didn't know that they were specific people.
Okay,
I
just people in
thought
general.
Right. I thought maybe they could be ancestors of mine or of the neighborhood or whatever, but I felt that was God was every single dragonfly, and that I
Felt
was just
that.
surrounded. So that was just one of many experiences that were really otherworldly.
This is the big one, though. This is
That
the
was
big
the
one.
big one. That was
So,
one of the kickers.
Let's
And
explore. Go ahead.
actually 3/4 of the way through, I started to kind of come out of this kind of, trance state, and I knew to pull out my cell phone, and I videotaped 100 dragonflies circling me.
Mhm.
And then I went on to research about this and realized that other people have had some dragonfly experiences. I'm not alone.
No, I've had that with butterflies before, but I didn't think they were people. I mean, that's just, I thought I was in the way, and there's circulations of air. Yeah, have you thought of another, explanation for it? I mean, could there be another explanation for it other than it being God?
No,
There's no way it could be a natural explanation for that.
no.
Why is that?
Because I had a knowing. I had a
uh-huh.
knowing that just engulfed me.
But it was a
I've had-
feeling.
It's a feeling, but it's a knowing. It's deeper than just a feeling.
Okay.
It's like down to the core of who I am. And
Is
I've
there-
had
uh-huh.
many other experiences where that same feeling has happened, and I equate it with God.
Has there been any experience of this knowing that hasn't been equated to God in your life?
No, not that I can recall, because honestly, the experiences that I've had that I would put into these spiritual encounters, and I've looked into them, they're STE, spiritually transformative experiences. They come with some similar ways that they're presented to me.
Nature often does things that will be, replicated throughout. So, I mean, that's
not all
100%
nature.
a natural explanation of it, right?
No, I just don't think so. I
No?
just don't think so. And that was an experience with dragonflies. There's
Mhm.
other experiences with people. There's other experiences with license plates and billboards and pennies and feathers and a lot
Well,
of other
okay.
kinds.
I don't know where else we're going with that one. That's so
That's-
all. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. let's back up a little bit here. So dragonflies, those are all convincing to you. How did you know? Well, let's just dive into which God are you thinking is interacting with you through these things? Is it the God of the Bible? Sorry about that loud noise. That is jets flying over my house.
Oh no, that's okay.
So is it the God of the Bible, or is it somebody else?
That's a really good question that I've never thought of.
Hmm.
So I don't know. There was one experience that I felt Jesus.
Okay, well, that's a very specific person to feel.
Yes.
How did you know it
But
was
the
Jesus?
other experiences when I felt it was God, I don't think it was a specific God. I don't
Okay.
think I dissected it to, you know, I mean, in my belief, there's one God. There's not a God of this, a God of that, a God of that. Even though I know a lot of other religions have various different gods for different.
Oh yeah, there's a God for everything at some
Yeah,
point. I mean,
right,
yeah, my
right.
kid just made up the God of a backpack last week. So I mean, now we
Right,
got one of those.
okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I've spent some time in India. I've spent some time in Thailand, and in both and in Jerusalem, and in both of those all three of those places, um, there seems to be a variety of different people or situations or deities that are worshipped. But I never looked at it that way.
Gotcha. So it's just a God in
Just
general.
a God, yeah.
Okay, so this Jesus one though, that's pretty specific.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So how did we feel it was Jesus?
Okay, well, it's a long story, and to make the long story short,
Thank you.
at the garage sale, there was a woman that I interacted with. She wanted a bike. She didn't have the money. She was going to go to the ATM to get some money, but she never left my property. She stopped at my mailbox at the end of the driveway, and there wasn't anyone else at the garage sale. It was empty, I mean, it was just me. And I saw this woman levitate off of the ground.
Marnie.
I really did. Well, I did.
Now you're seeing flying people.
I did. And I remember thinking to myself, do I have a boulder that she's standing on? Is there a crate, a box that she's standing on? I remember.
Is it David Blaine? I mean,
right. I mean, I remember asking myself those questions. I do remember not making any effort to walk over to her to say, what's going on, or to talk with her. But the reason why I equate her with Jesus is within a second, there were 12 individuals around her that were, I mean, I didn't have anyone at the garage sale. There were 12 people around her, all looking up and intently listening to whatever she was saying. And again, I didn't think to walk over there and say, what's going on? I was just in the same kind of situation I've always been in these kind of, how it presents to me is I'm kind of, I don't know, stuck in my body. I don't move. I don't question. I don't ask. I just observe. I take it in. And then within a short while, I mean, I don't know how long, because everything is very slow motion when I experience these. They were all gone. Even the woman was gone. The woman then came back and wanted to buy the bike or whatever. And did, but I really don't remember her leaving or taking the bike or anything. I know the bike was gone.
What was this in Chicago? Just out of curiosity. That was
I mean, it's in Fox River Grove, Illinois, a northwest suburb of Chicago. Beautiful little neighborhood.
Was it hot outside?
It was not that hot outside, and I was only drinking lemonade.
Okay. I'll just say, so Marnie, from my point of view, it's a little odd. It's a little odd. So, I mean,
it's
is
odd
it,
from my point of view too.
I understand. I'm sure. Yeah. If I saw that, I'd probably, yeah. So have you
It's
thought,
very
have you looked into maybe it was a hallucination of some sort? Maybe there was some other explanation for this other than that woman that floated was Jesus.
I am someone who has never done recreational drugs or even prescription drugs.
Right. Well, I mean, you were
Uh,
stressed out. It was a
I
stressful
didn't,
situation. There's all these things going on. I
yeah,
mean, you're
it was,
outside.
although I
Oh,
wasn't completely stressed. And actually, most of the day, I'm in the garage. We had a very large 3-car garage. I was in the garage in the shade. It wasn't like I
mm,
was overheated. I actually, even during that garage sale, I wasn't like all stressed out or anything.
yeah. Just it's very weird, Marnie. I mean,
It
how do
is
you
weird.
like? I mean, I don't know. How would you take it? How if I told you that story? How would you
I
take
would
that?
say that if I didn't experience it myself, I would not believe you at all. Because
It's a
I
tough one.
I would not have believed all sorts of things, like even this license plate situation that I had, like another one of these experiences, or I had another experience that involved electronics. I wouldn't have believed any of
Oh,
this if I didn't experience it myself,
yeah.
honestly.
Well, I mean, like
And
I
it
said, okay.
prompted me
Go
it
ahead.
prompted me to really research spiritual experiences, even near death experience. When you hear thousands of accounts that have been very well documented,
Yeah.
like
Okay. Okay. Well, now we're getting a whole new thing. Whole new thing. Yeah. That is
actually, it's not
completely
a
been
whole new
debunked
thing.
about 100 times over. But that we can research that
I
100%.
don't
Look it up.
believe so. I don't believe so. If
I
you've
know.
ever
I know.
heard Dr. Eben Alexander, who's a Harvard neurosurgeon, and his
Woo.
experiences, too
Yeah.
many people around the whole world have come back to to uh to say so many similar accounts.
Do you believe
And
in aliens?
I do.
Alien abduction?
I don't know about abduction, but
There's
I do
so many
believe
similar
in aliens.
stories, though. There's so many similar stories, and they all
There
match
are, but
up.
I do believe
That
in
doesn't make
aliens.
it real, though, right?
I actually own the whole series of Ancient Aliens, and I'm
Oh
fascinated
no,
by that. Um,
aliens.
and then actually it appears, I mean, who knows what to believe nowadays anyway, with anything that you hear
It's a
that's
tough one, yeah.
presented on that tube. But it appears that there is some credibility to the whole alien thing. But I will tell you, I'm not someone who needs to state my situation and force my views or try
No,
to
yeah,
defend. No, I'm just hear me
yeah,
out. Just
yeah.
hear me out for a minute. I had my experience. I believe what I experienced. I believe in other things that I have experienced with manifesting. There have been other times where there is another person with me witnessing the exact same thing and saying, "Yeah, I saw what you saw." I wanted to write my book. God came to my garage sale to to acknowledge what I experienced and to encourage people to pay attention to signs and synchronicities in the
Mm.
world. I'm not out to
Well,
this exact. I mean, I think that I'm a questioning person, and
yes, question it.
and I'm
100%,
a,
Marnie.
I'm a
Yeah.
lifelong learner, and so I'm on a journey on this earth, and but I do believe that through trauma and some tough situations, whether it's death in a near death experience, or whether in my case you just kind of lost your world as you knew it,
Hmm.
and people have all sorts of challenges in their lives with their health, with the loss of loved ones, losing their job, whatever.
Yeah.
It's different for different people, but trauma can induce different things to happen, and
Stress. Yes,
stress
100%. Yeah.
stress can induce that.
Hallucinations, even.
And I believe that stress induced my spiritual experiences. I will differ from your opinion, and I respect your opinion, and that's fine.
And I yours.
That you're saying that the near death experiences have all been debunked. I totally disagree
They
with
have.
that.
And we can disagree on that, but the facts, let's everybody look it up on Google and research, not just Google.
I don't Google. Google is
Go,
not
go,
Google.
DuckDuckGo or
Google
whatever it
and
is.
Wikipedia, and
All
I
that
don't
fun
know.
stuff.
They can say whatever they want to say, but I will tell you, we will disagree.
Yeah.
We will agree to disagree.
Studies. Look at the studies.
that.
There you go. Look at the
I
studies
look
that
at
have
the
been done.
studies.
Yeah.
I look at the studies, and that's why I believe differently than you on that.
Gotcha. Felt Jesus. We're done. We accomplished that. Thank you so much. Next topic. The last one here I just kind of want to touch on this one. You did mention that you wanted your kids to read the Bible.
Yes, I did.
Now, as someone who's read the Bible, I know you've read it. Did you just no? Oh no, you didn't read it.
I don't think I have
read
fully
it?
read the Bible. I read the Bible in sections.
Oh,
I
no,
read
Marnie.
it. Yeah, I don't think that I can say I've read the Bible from, cover to cover.
Gotcha.
Front to back.
No, that's good. Let me tell you why it's not a good thing, though, to let your kids just pick up the Bible and read it.
No. They didn't. No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I didn't explain myself. I was so excited to get my kids, and I can't even think of it right now. I'm sure it's packed away in a hope chest, which has probably been discarded by their other parent.
Oh.
But I saved, a children's. There was one for boys, one for girls, a Bible that would. It wasn't a complete Bible. It was where they would have a verse, and then they have kind of like an earthly life lesson, and that would prompt a nice discussion. But I'm talking, my kids were very little when I did that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, even that, there could be issues. I don't know what was in there, but I mean, there's lots of issues with the Bible. And definitely, free roam children reading the Bible is a bad thing, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't think that they would. I think they had a hard enough time just free roaming, reading. Well, back in my day, it was Dick and Jane, but
See Spot Run.
See Spot Run. I mean, I'm dating myself.
Riveting.
But no. I think it's challenging enough for me. Like, that's one of the reasons I became a lector, because I wanted to read the Bible and understand it more. And we were provided not only with the reading that we would read in a service, but we got some background information, and we got another interpretation. There were various interpretations, but that it was interesting for me to try to learn a little bit more about it, because I think even me just reading the Bible, I don't know that I would totally get everything.
Yeah, no, I don't think anybody does. And I think that's why you have so many different variations and flavors of Christianity and all the other stuff. So 100%. Thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing your story, putting up with my shenanigans. Why don't you tell the folks at home where we can find your stuff?
Well, and thank you for having me. I don't mind this kind of dialogue. I think
Awesome
it's
sauce.
to have these kind of conversations, because like I said, I wouldn't believe a lot of things unless I experienced it myself. But anyway, my books, I have a 5-book series called True Deceit, False Love, dealing in a creative way with family trauma stuff, and my spiritual fiction, God Came to My Garage Sale, can all be found on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. My publisher is Balboa Press, which is a division of Hay House. And I'm not on social media or anything like that, but I have a website, which is the title of the spiritual fiction, www.godcametomygaragesale.com. If you want to learn more about me and hear some other podcasts, of varying topics, and check out, what I've been up to.
Awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thank you for your time and plugging all your stuff. We'll talk to you later. Keep in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. And that's all the show there is for you today. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard and want to help keep the recording light on, simply go to patreon.com/BSW the podcast and sign up to be a supporter of the show. Your episodic tithes of $1 or more will give you access to the patron feed, unaired conversations, early access to each episode, and much more. For the latest events, BSW swag, and a peek behind the scenes, head on over to the show's ever-evolving webpage at thebiblesayswhat.com. The Bible Says What the book is out. Head on over to thebiblesayswhat.com and get yourself and your grandma a signed copy. Thanks to the cosmic powers of the internet, it is now possible to buy me a beer or coffee online. Simply go to buymeacoffee.com/BSW the podcast and click the appropriate buttons. If you can't support the show monetarily, please like, share, and or leave a review. As always, you can find me at the Bible Says What Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram pages. You can also reach me at bswthepodcast@gmail.com. And no matter which platform you use to listen to your podcasts, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on the next episode. Until then, would you kindly pick up your Bibles and read them? One more time with feeling. I gotta pee. From In the Beginning to the Musical Apocalypse, there's a B in there now.